Right then, hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I hope you're all well. It's a very, very warm Widnes day, and yeah, I thought I'd do a little preview of the upcoming round at Thruxton, and yeah, let's have a little chat about what I think's going to go on, and also I'm going to actually do it a bit differently today, as in usually previewing I won't speak to anyone, but I'm actually going to speak to somebody who said they would answer my call, which will be nice, and have a little chat. So let's give them a little ring and see if he answers.
Yeah.
Matt, hello mate, you okay?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, listen, mate, we're filming. Matt Neal, everyone. Matt, I'm so sorry I didn't ring at 1:45. I had my next door neighbour chewing my ear off about somebody outside my house on a scooter looking to rob my car last night, so that was nice.
That makes a change from you trying to rob their car.
Do you know what? I don't know why I opened my mouth and said that, because I knew that was coming. It's not ideal, mate. I don't know what was going on out here, so I've been looking at my Ring doorbell, but I can't see anything. I think there's a pizza delivery, but you never know, do you,
It
mate?
wasn't Mel, was it?
Right, it could have. You behave. It could have been anyone.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, right, I've give you a ring, fella, because a couple of things. I want to talk to you about Thruxton coming up and how you think it might go, but also, you know, what you're making of the season so far. So, well, firstly, mate, whenever we speak about Thruxton, I think you should be pretty proud of yourself, mate, because Hondas always go well, don't they? And also, you usually go well as well, mate.
I don't know what. Yeah, I think so. I never used to have good luck back in the super touring days. I always had chronic luck at Thruxton, and then because you don't go very well there, I got to not liking the place. But I think as drivers, we all do love it because it's old school. It's proper hanging on out the back, as you know. For whatever reason, the Hondas have always gone well there. I think we've worked on the aero a lot with the last shape Civic and the new one. So, and high speed stability is always been a strength for us, and that's what Thruxton's all about. So it's a bit of a home Grand Prix for us with Honda, Swindon, close by, and Yuasa close by. So it's always been, you try and pull out all the stops, and it's great that it's been a happy hunting ground for us over the last 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? Because you remember when we drove for Vauxhall together, it was always, if you were in an Astra, you were quids in, weren't you? It's kind of like, it's the same thing now, but BMW are kind of invading your patch a bit with this 3 Series, aren't they? Or they did do in the first meeting.
Well, they did, yeah. With the 1 Series, without talking to a shop, with the 1 Series, they could never get. They were unstable on the rear with the wing placement, so they got the rear wing relocated. And then when they switched to the 3 Series, they were allowed to keep that relocation, which puts it more up into the airflow, which gives them better stability on the back of the car, which a lot of us front-wheel drive teams have bitched about, but obviously got nowhere. And it means when it historically wasn't a good circuit for BMW, last year with the 3 Series, they were banged on. We thought, oh great, we'll get to Thruxton. We've got 2 Thruxtons, and they were on it again. It was quite painful, but yeah.
But that's an interesting. No, to be fair, Matt, that's an interesting point, Matt. I didn't think of it like that, because I've always thought like rear-wheel drive cars should struggle around places like Thruxton because of the high-speed nature of it, and you need to be combating the bumps at very high speed, and that was usually the case, wasn't it? But it's definitely changed, and but it changed mid-season as well, didn't it? Because remember, they had a bit of a boost decrease, and they struggled to get into the top 10, except for Tom Oliphant, who was quite light, didn't they?
Well, there was another regulation change. They were made to run a higher ride height and add a weight penalty on the bulkhead to try and, because their weight distribution is much better than a front wheel drive.
Yeah.
So it's a more balanced car, and that with the aero as well. So, and that was put on them for the second half of last year, but then removed over the winter again. So they were back to where they were at the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
So again, another one of our root points, but it is what it is. We just got to get on with it. I mean, the Honda should be good around there. My problem is personally, there's there's not 5 but 7 Hondas, which are all good. So that's another 6 guys you've got to try and compete against, and it's just so close.
Yeah. But you must be proud though for what you've done. I remember from back in the Integra days when I drove, you were always probably the best customer supporting people that I've ever had to deal with, and a lot of the times it was so level. If you got the rub of the green, BTC were pretty good at going against you, weren't they, until the end of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll give you a job on our PR team as well, mate, because that's nice words, thanks. We like to think so. BTC had a terrific run this year. I think the problem with racing in British touring cars is, well, I've described it to people who from outside, and the racing is brutal.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's fast. You don't have much time to think and plan when you're out there driving. So an element of it does come down to luck. You've got to roll with the punches and have the luck go for you. And if it isn't going for you, it hasn't gone for us so far much this year. It hasn't gone for BTC either. So there's a few of us who are tough. But I think again, going back to the front wheel drive, rear wheel drive thing, it does suit the rear wheel drives at the moment. The regulations do seem to suit them, because the Infinity is now bang on the pace with Ashley. We think the Infinity, it runs a lot softer than the BMW, so it might struggle a bit more around Thruxton than the likes of the BMW. But the BMW, definitely, they've got historical data. They know what works around there. So Turks and Co will definitely be on it.
Yeah, I thought that to myself. That the only time that car looks like it struggles is when it's really been running a lot softer than usual. You watch it, don't you? And it's a place where they're an unknown quantity. Actually, they turn up at Thruxton as an unknown quantity. To be fair, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, after the one race I got at Knockhill was race 3, and I was around Ashley, and we were sort of racing the back end of the top 10 after the reverse grid. And he is driving. To be fair to him, he is driving, and so much so, I had to go and speak to him afterwards and say, "You are driving the wheels off that thing, mate. Fair play." He is wringing its neck. Wow. And I don't flatter people readily, and I had to go and speak to him. I said, "Mate, fair dues, what you're doing at the moment." So if there's anyone who can get it around there, I'm sure it's Ashley. But we'll be trying anyway.
Yeah, for sure. What do you make of Dan Camish this year? He looks like a different person. He looks like a better person. I'd say he's had a bit of, he's had a few issues, but he's starting to just get them big points weekends now, and he looks like a man on a mission.
Yeah, I'd say we looked into the race 1 win at Donington, but we did a bit because, again, Turks and Ashley were scrapping away. He had a great run last year. He is, honestly, Paul, he is blindingly fast. Blindingly fast, which is proven in other series he's raced in. He's won them from lights to flag, really. When he came to Dynamics and he was they were considering him for the drive, one of the criticisms, you're fast, but can you race?
Yeah. And
his reply was, just because I win from pole doesn't mean I can't race. Which was a fair reply. And I think anyone coming to the BTC, his first year, it was a bit of a culture shock to him. That if you don't lose 1 place, you lose 5 places if you're not careful, because the guys even in 10th to 20th place will just have your ears off for that place, even if you're not in the points. And that took a while for him to get his head around that, but his strength is qualifying, and it's all about qualifying at the moment, because the grid is so tight, and if you can do that and be at the front, then you've got a half a chance. And he did really well to stay out of trouble and look after himself last year. Lost it in the final race, which wasn't his fault. But he wanted to come back, and he was confident. He's not confident on beating the rear wheel drives at the moment. We sort of, well, are you fighting for 3rd place in the championship at best? And I think there's a few thinking that at the moment, but yeah, he'll be quick around there, definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. Well, listen, I appreciate it, Matt. And then just last one, who's going to stick it on the pole, mate?
I would say, well, it could be a number of people. I've got to say Honda. It's got to be a Honda, whether it's Dan, me, Josh, Tom, Jake Hill. It's got to be one of those boys, isn't it? So I hope anyway.
Yeah. Well, you're very well represented, mate, and that's exactly what I'm gonna go for, mate, as well. It's definitely going to be a Honda for me. So hopefully it is, fella, for you guys, and appreciate.
Is the BTC betting app available yet? It might be worth getting some pounds on, isn't it?
It might not be a bad show, actually. That, you know what, mate? I might have a look myself. Get that on. We're on.
I'll have to go and find it. Yeah.
We're not allowed to. No, we're not allowed to do that, are we? Well, I'm not actually competing, but you're not allowed to bet.
I would have thought you could bet on yourself, because how can you not? You know, you're trying your hardest to win anyway, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I suppose so, mate. no comment.
If I bet on someone else and rolled over the flag, that might be a bit more subtle. But
oh my word, you set yourself right up for a fall. Now I'm backing out of this conversation, mate. I appreciate it, Matt. Listen, you crack on, fella, and all the best, and hopefully I'll get to see you at the end of the weekend, because we struggle to get to you guys, obviously, with what's going on. So good luck, mate, and send my best to Dan Cam and all the team.
Good on you. Cheers, Paul.
Nice one. Thanks. See you later, Matt.
Bye. Bye.
Right then. So that was Matt Neal, everybody. Very, very interesting. He had some wicked things to say, didn't he? If there's a hum in the background, I've got the aircon on and stuff, because it's so hot in the car today. Right, I'm not going to keep you long, guys, so I just made a couple of little notes here. I've got anyone in a Honda has got a massive chance this weekend. Cook on 0 kilograms. So Joshua, coming off the back end of that horrendous weekend at Knockhill with all that damage, team dynamics. The car went back to them because that's where it's originally from. They fixed it all up with the help of BTC, who run the car. So amazing stuff for them. Josh will be mad for a home Grand Prix victory or podium, so I'm going to say he's going to have a cracking weekend. 12 kilograms for Jake Hill in the older FK2 Honda, which was on, I think it was on pole at one of the rounds last year at Thruxton, in Sam Tordoff's hands maybe. So yeah, it's a pretty light Honda, that. So I reckon my bet is Jake Hill on pole, actually. I'm going to go for Jake Hill on pole, because he's brave, the car's good, team are good, he'll be sweet. Another brave person in a BTC Honda is Chilton on 24 kilograms. But also Matt Neal, who we've just spoke to, he's on 0 kilograms. So Matt put it on pole, I think, in 2018 with an absolute wondrous lap. Around there. I watched it live from one of the corners. It was amazing. So even Matt's got a chance. I think it could be a Honda for sure. A little shout out to Adam Morgan. He's had a stellar year so far. Fair play to him. I think Thruxton first time last year, because we visited twice, they were awful. He qualified 18th, and I don't think he got any better up the grid than a 12th or a 13th. But when they come back for the second time round, they changed all the engineers, and he ended up with, I think he was on the podium most races. He might have had like 2/3 and a 5th or something like that. So I reckon they will go there with high hopes, with 18 kilograms in the A class. A lot of data in that car. They've been there quite a lot. So I think Aidan Moffat was on the front row one year in that car as well. So yeah, that'll be a good car around there, especially with Morgan involved. Tom Ingram with 30 kilograms. He had a best of, I think it was a 5th and a couple of 8s over the 2 meetings they had there. I spoke to Tom before. I don't think he's massively confident in the high speed stuff in the Corolla. They've not been there this year in the car, obviously with everything that's gone on, but they've tested quite a lot at Knockhill where we've been, and they did quite well. So he thinks they may have found something. So I'm going to say Tom will be scoring big points, but it's going to take an effort to keep that on the road in the top 6, to be honest with you, I think. Anyway, big thing for me will be Ash Sutton versus Colin Turkington. I think Colin's probably going to edge back away from Ash Sutton, because like we heard from Matt, that Infinity looks like it rolls a bit more, it's a bit softer. You can't really run a car like that around Thruxton because it needs high speed stability. So I think Colin might just edge away now from Ash, and it's going to be swings and roundabouts. Then they'll go to other circuits where it'll be better for the Infinity, but let's wait and see. I might be completely wrong, but that's my take on things. I think Colin will just pull away a touch, and the usual guys up the front, your Butchers and people like that, and I think Chris Smiley, who's the bravest man on earth, will go well in the Hyundai. And I think Senna is quite a specialist. I think he had a podium in the Astra a few years back in the Hyundai, and they seem to be starting to really chip away now. They had a podium last time out with Senna, so it's all good. Last shout out to Tom Onzo Cole. He's back in the Passat for Team Hard, and he gave that car its first ever podium, I think back in 2012 when that car come out. I think it was its second round and he stuck it on the podium. I think he might struggle to get in the top 15, but you never know with Tom. He's a good driver and a good lad as well, so it's good to have him back in the championship. Yeah, thank you for subscribing, thank you for following. Send me your comments as well. Do you think I've missed some people out? I usually have, because you can't just mention everyone, because that's what happens in touring cars, because like everyone's a winner, aren't they? Wicked, right, sound. Paul O'Neill is out. I will catch you very soon. Thank you. Mwah. Kisses for you.